Tony Kurre Radio Network on the KCast radio app. You can watch us from 7:30 to 9:30 and also hear us right here on the KCast radio app. Thanks to the tens of thousands of folks who have downloaded the KCast radio app or Twitter account. We changed her up to Tony Kurre Radio Network, Tony Kurre Radio on Twitter.
And people went, oh,
that's where he is. Well, let's just talk. Let's just say what this is. So I've been doing radio for 40-something years, right? And some guy was on a Twitter feed last night with Legend, who's a friend of mine. I've done some shows with him. Maybe bring him over here. We do some things. And he was talking about, me being the go to classic rock and stuff. And some guy said, whatever happened to that Tony Kurre guy? Obviously not a follower. And so I sent him the link of the app and told him what I was doing. And so that kind of blowed up. And he's like, well, what have you been up to? Blah, 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 blah. And, I've been busting my ass here every morning for like the last 3 years, thinking that people are finding it. And so we created this KCast radio thing. And K, obviously, for Kurre, and Cast is broadcast. And so I wanted to create this own thing, like my baby, and let it become its own thing. Right. And I owned it. Yeah. And obviously I'm behind it. And I want it to be successful, kind of like having a child. Yeah. But my child is not performing at the level it should, and so it's time to help him do some homework. It's time to go beat the hell out of that 11-year-old on the bus.
That sounds more like sort of a makeover is what it needed.
Kind of like that. And so I met with several people in marketing firms and stuff. They're like, everybody knows who you are, whether they like you or not. Right. You spend 30 years on radio in the same market for a long period, people are going to know who you are one way or another. That's right. And even if they don't know you, like, I recognize that name somewhere. So why don't you just make it Tony Kurre Radio and go do your thing? And I never really wanted to sit there.
That's right.
Tony Kurre Radio. I didn't want to be that.
No.
That guy.
Now you are.
Now I am. Because
you'll do anything. Yeah.
Because it works, and so it's just blown up. So they're like, oh, and I was like, yeah, I've been doing this for 2.5 years. Like, no, and these are friends of mine that live down the street. Do you think I hang out in my basement for 6 hours a day for fun? Well, yeah, I do. But
I thought you were on Jocks. Weren't you on Jocks?
Yeah, there's some people still think I'm on Jocks.
No, you know what it is? I like what I like.
I'm vaccinated, by the way, Cumulus. I'm vaccinated. By the way, I heard that story yesterday. Somebody up there got COVID, got a breakthrough case.
Oh, yeah. Well,
this happens in an office. It's not just a radio.
Yeah.
So they
you can't.
So they had to make everyone leave, spray the place down, and it's like it stinks really bad. It's not like Dry Tech, one of our clients we had on. It stinks really bad.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And they're doing live shows, so they have to be in there to do it.
So they're like gagging as they do.
Yeah, it's kind of like if like Cook's Pest Control was like, it's not, but if it was like just vile, nasty spray, and they're spraying everything that they spray on the outside of your house inside, and they made you live in it. And I'm like, breakthrough case, man, it happens.
There's a whole to me now, there's become this sort of social protocol around this. You can't slam on a person for a breakthrough if they have a breakthrough case. No. Now, you can slam on them if they're unvaccinated and they get it, right? And you can't slam. This is so interesting to me. I'm not going to go. This is our COVID segment of the day. You can't slam on the family that gets it because a child gets it and their child's under 12. Yeah. Right?
I want to know how many unvaccinated people have gotten COVID who have lied and told people they were vaccinated.
Oh, I'm sure there's. Or don't say a word.
Well, because the question is, were you vaccinated?
Yeah, well,
because if you're really, really sick, I can deduce that you probably weren't, because I don't know too many people. We've had 6 people on our street. The kid across the street's got it right now. He's a first responder. But
breakthrough?
He's but they've all been vaccinated,
and it's not that bad.
And it's not that bad. He still has to sit out for 10 days.
Yeah.
But he's back at work, and he's like, yeah, I'm sitting here playing Monopoly at home. And it
sucks.
Okay. But, I mean, for people that get really, really sick, you can deduce, not to say that some breakthroughs aren't severe.
Yeah, right.
But for the most part, if you're sicker than a dog, I can deduce that.
You didn't get vaccinated.
And then, were you vaccinated? Yeah. Okay.
I'm telling you, well, you've said it. It's like, first of all, I'll keep it short. Just like, I'm sorry. Like, we're calling people out, making names, doing all this stuff around like a medical condition. Yep. Which is, I mean, it has this like lepers feel sort of thing, like leprosy. That's the first thing. The second thing is, you've said this. The numbers are getting smaller and smaller. Like it used to be, I'm not wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. And then there was a gazillion people that weren't wearing a mask with you. Yeah. Then it was, I'm not getting vaccinated. And there was a gazillion people that were. Yeah. And now it's like you said, it's harder and harder to stand up for not vaccination because there's a bunch of people going, that's great. Do you and stand over there. Yeah. Which is really interesting. It's like a smoking section.
By the way, I just found out that Lee Masters. You didn't. I don't think people really knew Lee Masters. If you're watching on Facebook Live, he had quite the following. He passed away last night or this morning. Old radio guy.
Okay, I didn't know who that was.
Yeah, whenever there's old radio people die,
local.
Local guy. He was known for a lot of things, and he was a wanderer. He worked at a lot of different radio stations around town, and I worked with him for a period of time. So my thoughts and prayers go out to him. But and I don't know what he passed away of, but several people are like, you knew Lee Masters, right? You worked with him. I'm like, yeah.
I saw posts about it that he was quite ill.
Yeah. So, but he was a journeyman. He was one of those guys where you just tell him what to do. We need the bathrooms cleaned. Okay, we need you to do afternoons tomorrow. Okay, he would just do whatever you asked him to do, which was really good. He just loved radio. So. We mentioned the fact that we're kind of like Chandler and Joey. We have Baywatch on Friends, and I don't know how I found it. But while I was watching the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders making the team, and you want me to change the channel, so I changed it to Baywatch. And I never was a big Baywatch fan.
No, I wasn't either.
I am now.
Well, this isn't Baywatch.
These are the digitally mastered Baywatches, and it's like nasty, man. It's like, wow.
This is almost, I wouldn't call it soft. This is not porn.
It's close.
It's like what is it? Gratuitous nudity? Nudity?
It's just, it's like going to the beach. It's just all skin.
Well, and every dude has got a six-pack.
Yeah, and I was watching Family Jewels last night with Gene Simmons and his family. And there's been a lot of KISS news out there. They both got COVID, Gene and Paul, and they're back on the road. And Shannon Tweed, who is an actress and a former Playboy model, is his wife. And they've been together for like ever, and he's done some crazy. They don't really talk about her, but they always talk about him, and he's such a successful business. And I always wonder whenever you have a couple that obviously Sharon Osbourne and Osby. I love those stories when you know. And listen, there's blame to be put on both sides, right?
Right.
I'm not saying that Shannon or Sharon are unscathed that have done nothing wrong, but we know what their husbands have done.
Yeah,
they've gotten after, right? And they've. And there was even a story about Gabrielle Union talking about the fact that Dwayne Wade had a child with another woman outside their marriage.
Yep.
And I always wonder that to me is a strong marriage. There's got to be something there, because I do think that when there's a lot of money involved, and I know you're laughing over there, that there's no reason to stay in that marriage if it's irreparable and you can't fix it and so the fact they're still together after all these years.
Yeah.
Because Gene could still go out and find himself a 21-year-old if he wanted to.
Ugh. Yeah.
A 21-year-old, I want to jump Gene Simmons, but he sticks with her. And maybe it's because she's put up with so much of his crap.
Well, I was just going to say.
Anyway, so she's on Baywatch on this episode. What would you say, 1988, 87? When was it big?
Yeah, because there's a lot of fluorescent going on there. There's a lot of body glove fluorescent and hairy chest. Remember we talked about the manscaping?
Yeah.
This is earlier 80s, because look at David Hasselhoff, man. He's got a big hairy chest there.
Yeah, but I think later on he was shaved up, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's true. Well, because, maybe they had a consultant.
Well, if you got abs, you shave it down.
All right.
If you don't have abs, see, you could do it now. But if you don't have defined abs, you put a little hair there.
That's right. Okay, so where are you going with this?
Anyway, I was being really, really shallow, and for some reason, I don't know why this is, but I have a problem with women with the Clint Eastwood dent in their chins.
The dent or cleft?
Cleft, dent, whatever you want to call it.
Hey now. And my daughter.
Does she have one? Mm-hmm. I've never noticed.
Mm-hmm. That's the only way I knew that my kids were my kids. Both my kids have got them.
Really?
Yeah. You'll see on Max. You'll see.
It's one of those things. Is that
It's a genetic.
On men.
Yeah.
It's a sign of masculinity.
No, my daughter's got
You look at a lot of old cowboy movies. A lot of guys got clefts.
Yeah.
A A lot of cowboys got clefts.
Yeah.
John Wayne had cleft. They all got the.
My mom's got a cleft.
Really?
Yeah.
I said I was being shallow.
You are.
Well, Jessica Simpson. I don't know. I can't get. It's not like a woman with an Adam's apple, for God's sakes. Although that would probably bother me a little bit more, particularly if she had balls.
Well, I will say that my daughters.
Yeah.
But I think it has to do with facial structure too. So obviously, my son.
I find your daughter.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, no, hey.
And your wife.
Appropriate. Yeah, we talked about that in my family.
Look out, I'm single.
I know. I think in women, or at least in my family, the women in my family who have a cleft, my mom, my daughter, one of my cousins, it's more subtle, and I don't know that the cleft.
I never noticed.
Yeah, look, see, I can make a butt cheek out of my.
Well, yeah, you're squeezing it together.
But it's a cleft. You can't do that. I have a cleft, so I can make a true butt cheek.
Really?
Yeah, see, because you have a cleft. A little thing. But it's more subtle in my daughter. My son's is much more pronounced. I'm pronounced. And I'm telling you, when they came out, because the whole fatherhood thing, when they came out, and there was C-section, so they didn't come out, they came out this way.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I thought this, but somehow I thought I'd see my eyes in my infant. Like, that's just this weird fantasy. Like, they'd put the baby down and they were doing suctioning, all the stuff. And somehow I would look at them. This is weird. I can't believe I'm sharing this. God,
Can you see a cleft?
Well, listen, this is what I'm doing. So I'm looking, and they look like a little alien.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing. I'm like, that doesn't look. Whoa, look at that. Both my kids came out.
With clefts?
Just enough. I'm like,
really?
Okay. That's my cleft.
That's my cleft.
That's my cleft because my wife doesn't have one.
That baby.
I did.
Looks oriental and does not have a cleft.
I did. I told Jules. Jules is who got literally her intestines laying that came back. Baby, they got a cleft just like mine. And she's like, that's great. That's great. That's great.
Well, that's the one thing, and for some reason, it's like when you start looking at a woman's eyebrows.
Yeah, well, I think everybody's eyebrows have started doing that. Eyebrows are like the weirdest thing, and I understand why they do.
They are strange.
Well, it's an evolutionary thing. I mean, it makes total sense.
If
you got eyelashes and eyebrows to keep the shit out of your eyes.
If you go out with a really good-looking girl
who's got bushy,
just look at her eyebrows for like 3 minutes straight, and try not to look at anything else, and it'll ruin it for you.
You're gonna have to watch that as you're moving forward in your.
Isn't it weird though? The eyebrows.
Okay,
the eyebrows are.
Is this worse radio than it is Facebook Live? Because we're just sitting.
No, I just thought it was really weird that
and
I was
talking
about. I thought it was weird. I was watching Family Jewels last night, and then I see Shannon Tweed on the television, and I thought, well, that's bizarre. What are the chances of me seeing her on television? And because she had some. She could have been a transvestite. She could be in like a Vegas style show. She's got some man qualities about her.
Yes. Well, and
she's chiseled and she's strong. Although if you look at her old pictures, she's a woman. I mean, she's beautiful, but she's got some very strong looking man qualities.
She's a little more
that's
gender.
What the cleft's about.
She's a little more gender neutral, if you will. Androgynous. Let me put it that way. A little more androgynous, meaning.
That's so shallow of me. Sorry.
It is. Look at it. See,
and Jessica Simpson's kind of the same.
Is that her? Is that Jessica Simpson?
Yeah. We did something on Fox 6 yesterday.
Yeah.
And again, they give us about 4 minutes.
We get more. Did you see that?
4 or 5 minutes, whatever. And we got to rip through it pretty quick because there's 4 of us talking. And sometimes they'll tackle things that we can get through, and we've never run out of time. Well, we always run out of time, but we were never.
Did you hear them, by the way? Last night, you heard Vanessa. 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Wrap.
Yeah, we're never sitting there going, okay, what are we going to talk about for the next 2 minutes? No. It always runs out. So this article, and I pulled it up from the New York Post, Instagram is wreaking havoc on young girls and knows it. Briefly, talk about what they're talking about in this particular article because it is very, very interesting. What is Instagram wreaking havoc on? What are they doing to young girls? And what are they doing that they know?
It's not body. Instagram is not doing body shaming. What's happening is young girls, so we say young, teens and tweens, mostly teens, it's body comparison stuff. So you see a lot of girls, you see, obviously people have Instagram accounts and influencers and others, women, beautiful women with beautiful bodies, some of which have been, not only cosmetically altered, but filtered and all that kind of stuff because it got filters they can use, etc. And so you see these young girls are scrolling through this stuff and they're seeing people's feeds and they're seeing this stuff, and there's a lot of body comparison. And
body comparison between who? The young girl and the girl they're looking at?
The person that they don't know, and they scroll through and look. There's another beautiful woman. I don't look like that, and I don't look like that. And then there's filters on that. Why can't I look like that? How come I'm like this? And what happens is it's called sort of like the doom scroll, where, and they've done lots of studies. You get caught in it, and we've all been there scrolling through things. You're just in that. Well, it's image after image after image. And they're scrolling through it, and what they found in studies is that, young girls who spend more time on Instagram have a worse perception of their body, more, not body dysmorphic disorder, but they have irrational sort of views about their body. They're more distressed, more depressed, and in some cases, depending on the studies, because there's increased rate of mental health problems as well as suicide. Yeah. And now Instagram obviously has come out, and this has been through congressional hearings. Instagram has come out and said, look, there's studies showing that and they always do this, it's both sides. Girls feel bad about it, and then there's things that girls watch on Instagram and they love. Yeah. And so what Instagram is doing, which I think is super interesting, and it's super controversial, but in a good way. They're creating artificial intelligence or algorithms to do what we call nudge girls away from those accounts if they're looking at them too much. Yeah. Which is, dude, that's the ad. That's the I'm thinking about buying a boat, and then the boat pops up on my feed.
Yeah, such feelings of inferiority have partly contributed to an 18-year-old's desire for breast implants. Yes. I get down on myself as I'm often thinking, how do these influencers look so good in bikinis, flaunting all this fun stuff they do in places like the Bahamas? College freshman of Randolph, New Jersey, is among the 32% of young female Instagram subscribers identified by researchers as harmed by the platform. 32%. They found it exacerbates negative body image, low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, and in extreme cases, suicidal thoughts. The March 2020 study was commissioned by Facebook, which, of course, acquired Instagram about 9 years ago. Yep. And it goes on and on and on. Again, and there's all kinds of different ways you can actually edit and filter. I mean, a lot of that is through Apple, too. I mean, there's all kinds of different things you can do now on your phone when you take a picture of yourself to make yourself look better.
Oh, dude, you can do it on every virtual platform. I did it last night. Yeah. I did it last night. I was on a Zoom call. Yeah. And I was going through just to make sure that the camera was focused on me, and I had never noticed this. They're like, touch up. There was literally a button, touch up your appearance. Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell's that? I thought maybe
we see it with school pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, God, if they could take out pimples back in 1984 for my senior yearbook, I mean, you had to go to a professional for them to airbrush the pimples out of it, because it was going to happen. Right before a big date or picture day, you were going to get a monster pimple on your nose or your forehead. It was going to happen. It just happens.
And that's the thing. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if you're the girl sitting there with the pimples, right? Yeah. And you're looking through, and there's not a single girl on there who's posting with pimples. Mm-hmm. And even if you know, even if you know these young girls, they know, okay, it's a filter. They know intellectually that it's a filter. You know what I mean? Like they're not being duped, but at the same time, there is this, well, even with a filter, I'm not going to look like that. And man, it is devastating. Now, again, Instagram would say, we do a lot of good things on Instagram. This is the whole social media argument. There's a lot of good things. Yeah. We're going to try to nudge. The other thing, Instagram and others would say is, this is the job. It's not the job. I'm not speaking for Instagram. This is where parents have to come in. That yes, it's a powerful pull. And I said this yesterday on Fox. It is a powerful pull. It's an incredibly powerful pull. But it is a pull that is not designed specifically to harm young girls. This is social media. This is the internet. There are horrific things on the internet. The internet was not designed to corrupt you. Yeah. But it can. Yeah. And so, what's your job as a parent? And I've said this for years. when I became a parent, I didn't sign up for social media monitoring.
No.
But you know what? The rules changed or the policies changed.
Yep.
And now in parenting, you have to feed and clothe and teach them good morals and values and responsibilities, and you have to monitor social media. Sorry. Yep. That's it. And when I say monitoring, I mean part of it is how much time they're spending. And part of it is too, it's your job to try to connect with your child, or at least let them know that if they're struggling with these kinds of things, that you're there for them when they're ready.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing you do.
And again, I mean, it's important to let them know too that these are outliers. I mean, people want to be influencers. We did the whole thing on the study of the influencers. 3 people wanted to be influencers, and after they became influencers, you can put enough money behind anything, and you could become an influencer. All 3 of them were like, "Get me the hell out of here!"
That's
I
right.
don't want, because everything I was posting was being scrutinized.
Of course,
I was getting hammered on everything I was doing. They went from 10,000 followers to 10,000 followers, and they're like, "I'm out. I don't care about making the money. Just I don't want to be part of that anymore." The Instagram thing is really interesting too, because. And we see this. My daughter, again, is 9 years old, but some of the things she says, I'm like, she thinks she's getting fat. I'm like, you're as skinny as a stinking rail.
She's
I mean,
nine.
I'm like, she's 9 years old.
Well,
like,
yeah.
What are you talking about? I can't eat. She won't eat ice cream right now. I'm not eating ice cream because I don't want to get fat. I'm like,
yeah,
dude, I could still throw you over my shoulder, and I got a bad back. You're good. You know, go have fun.
But it's in there.
Yeah, and I can't help but think that you don't have to subscribe to these social media platforms in order to see it all in its glory. All you got to do is just Google it, and it'll come up. There's stories where you can get into people's accounts and go look at things, and you can get in. You can go through and scroll through Instagram without actually having an account on it.
Yes,
my son. I told my son, I said, you don't need to be on social media. This was about 2 years ago. He's 16 now. I'm like, he'll turn 17 in October. I said, you don't need to be on social media. You just don't. Now, if you want to be on some independent little thread, I don't know if they got these little morph groups or whatever where you can get your own. It's like fantasy football where you have your own fantasy league. If you could figure something out like that, and I think he's got something on Snapchat he does with.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Snapchat.
but he pulls me up every morning. He sees my Twitter post and my Facebook post.
Yeah, and he goes, Dad.
He's like, you're so cool, dude. Rock
oh, you said no, or
dude, you're so great.
No, yeah, or he's like, Dad. My family does that all the time with me.
Yeah,
they're like, dude, you look like a total dork. That's my family. My family is constantly. My family is they'll hammer me before anybody that I don't know will hammer me.
Well, and maybe this is something that. Because I'm always trying to look at the bright side here. And I would think that when you're looking at an influencer's page, and obviously it's not something that's God-given. Okay, this 18-year-old wants to get a boob job, right? Way too young because you're still growing. But if you are a little overweight, or you're not proud of the way you look, and you're looking at other people that you're never going to look like, maybe because you're not the same age or you live in the same town, you have to remember that when people are posting things, they're only posting the good stuff.
Yeah, but see, okay? this is the thing.
My point is, it may motivate you. It could possibly motivate you.
It could
possibly motivate you.
Well, and we have, listen, there are definitely influencers.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, there are definitely, look, every influencer is not influencing in order to body shame. Again, look on Instagram. There's influencers on everything. Yep. On people who are struggling with substance abuse. There's an influencer, I was there, let me help you. Health and wellness tips. I mean, dude, that's my stuff. My stuff is let me show you the way kind of stuff. So there's a lot of that. I think one of the things that we forget, and it's kind of mind blowing, with social media, it taps into a much more emotional part of who we are. And when I say taps into it, if you will, it bypasses our intellectual piece. So again, I'll use the filters as an example, or the influencers. Like, yes, I know that whether they're in the Greek islands, and I know that they're only posting their good pictures of their vacation. Yeah. I know that. Yeah. I know that. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of us have done that. And we know that,
and remember, this is part of their job.
Well,
an influencer's job is to post things on their platforms where they influence people. So while you're working your 9 to 5, or you're going to school full time, or you're working McDonald's, and then you're trying to post pictures of you in a bikini down at the beach because you got away once last year, right. This is what they do. They hire people.
Yes.
to rent out a Taco Bell with special lighting and to post these pictures of the hair blown back. This is their job. This is what their whole thing is, to edit, to nudge, to nip, to tuck, to look perfect and they've got photographers and all these things to make sure that they continue to influence, because that's what they do for a living. You got your own life. You're doing your own thing. So if you want to look like an influencer, now once in a while you're going to find a diamond in the rough. You will. You're going to find a woman that's never worked out a day in her life. She's just downright beautiful and she'll pull it off. She looks fantastic, but that's a rarity. So it's it's unfortunate because I don't even know what to tell my 9-year-old at this point.
I love you, sweetie.
Yeah.
I mean, the body comparison thing, and I think with your 9-year-old is a really good example. That's society, and again, society could be her friends, parents, friends of parents. It is society that is already infiltrating the way your young female daughter thinks. Mm-hmm. Diets that we talked about, the holding the stomach in. Yeah, I found that out. I'm 50.
Yeah,
and I started among friends who are women. I'm like, do you hold your stomach? Do you hold your stomach in? You got to be really careful when you say that.
Yeah,
it's close
what
friends.
What do you do?
But every woman I've spoken with, it's like when we talked about that. You talk to almost every woman has a story about where they were harassed at some level.
Yeah,
right. Stomach in was the same thing. I'm like, oh, of course. Ever since I've been, 10 years old, I've held my stomach. Like, literally, I felt like, well, I never knew. This is us as men, which is, it's a good thing. This is us men going, oh my God, we don't think about holding our stomach in.
Yeah.
We're told shoulders.
Unless we're by the pool.
What?
Unless we're by the pool.
Yeah, no, this is all the time, 24/7. So you think about your daughter. Your daughter's thinking about, what do I look like? What do I look like? Do I look fat? Should I eat healthy food? Should I not? I'm seeing 7-year-olds. I'm vegan. I'm a vegan. How are you a vegan? Because so-and-so is a vegan or mommy's a vegan. Be from age 0 to 9. Oh, you're almost done, by the way. She's 9. Okay. From 0 to 9, congratulations.
Thank you.
You have to parent your hardest. It has to be the most consistent. It has to be spot on. You don't have to be perfect, but you better be at the top of your game from 0 to 9. Because after 9, it's not over. It's not over. But 0 to 9, your influence is like this. And then at 9, so yours goes up. At 9 to 10-ish, it peaks. And your influence starts coming downhill. And it's coming downhill 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, you've bottomed out.
Yeah.
They don't give a rat's ass about what you think, how you think. And then, but now, the good thing is if you did really good from 0 to 9, then it's like a stock. It bottoms out. It's okay. It's okay because you're diversified because you need it. And then at about, on average, 18, 19, 20, 21 is that first 22 is that time where we go, oh God, so that's why you told me to clean up my room. Yep. But both my kids were that way. Oh, this is why we had to clean our room. My apartment's a mess. It's gross. Yes. Then as parent, you have tears coming out of your eye. Oh, you're back.
Yeah.
You're back. So it's really hard. Parenting is super hard, and most kids do okay. But if you want to do your best job, do it at 0 to 9. So congratulations, you're done for a while.
Thank you. Just like the stock market, it's like your insurance too.
It is.
My 16-year-old started driving. It's the premiums are pretty high. I did the Steer Clear program with State Farm, like a good neighbor State Farm there. Chris Dorsch, the State Farm team. Long recognized, a top 10 agent out of 18,500 across the country. Is probably more so than that right now. You see their commercials all over the place. He's great. He's been here for over 30 years. He's the real deal, and he's the best. And you don't have to pay out the nose to get the best quality insurance with State Farm. Chris Dorsch, the State Farm team. So it's 16. We know anything under 25 is going to be rough because some crap's going to happen. We think, I'm not going to be. When you're 21, I'm not going to drive any different when I'm 25. Oh, yes, you are. Yeah. And they know that.
That's why it's 25.
Are in there. Exactly. That's why it's 25. That's why sometimes you can't even rent a car till you're 25. He'll walk you through it. Everything I have here with the Tony Curry Radio Network, my home, my family, everything is covered by State Farm. They do wonderful work, and I love them. And Chris Dorsch is a good friend of mine as well. Check out Chris Dorsch's State Farm team. John Hawkins Parkway. Stop down there and knock on their door. They'll let you in, or call them at 205-985-7799, 205-985-7799. Speaking of stock market, Driscoll Gray, you want to talk about them real quick?
Yeah. So John Gray, I talked to him this week, actually. John Gray from Driscoll Gray. Look, managing your money now, you can do a lot of this on your own, right? Most of it can be done online, which is great. But that doesn't mean that you know how to do it appropriately. And every financial expert will tell you, educate yourself, learn, and if you feel like you're not in a good place, then work with somebody. And that's what John Gray does. John Gray will help you manage your money all the way from your investments to how you're doing your taxes to how you're saving to how you're paying for your kids' college. He looks at the whole picture, not just the money you're trying to put in retirement. He helped me roll something over the other day, and he actually did it for me. He is amazing. I worked with him for a decade. Call him today. The easiest way to get a hold of him is go to his webpage at driscollgray.com. Again, that's driscollgray.com.
All right. Hey, have a fantastic weekend. Thanks for watching again this morning on Facebook Live. We greatly appreciate you. Go to TonyCurryRadio.com or .net, TonyCurryRadio.net. You can also download our KCast radio app. It's great. We do classic rock all weekend long. Don't play a lot of commercials. So while you're cutting grass, hanging out, watching football games, tailgate, whatever. KCast
I've heard of that Tony Curry guy.
I'm right here. I never left. I'm here. I'm back a little bit. Have a great weekend.